Okay, Beth, so you have been an absolutely incredible member of our pod, and you had a lot of amazing results that have come from from our retreat too with Accelerate, as well as a ton of mindset shifts. So I want to dive into that. But first, let's start with where you were at mentally and where you were at with your business before joining an Accelerate pod.
Yeah, before I joined the pod, I was very alone in our business. I held a very specific role, and locally, we had tried to meet up with people who were doing what we're doing, but to the level that we're doing it at, I didn't really have a group of people that I was connected with to be able to bounce ideas off of or kind of get accountability from. So with that, the pod group has been like a safe space where I feel like I have found a group of people who legitimately cares about me personally and cares about the success of my business and our business. So that has been a major plus for me. I was really lacking community. My husband Luke on the other side, he is the biggest networking person out of the two of us. And so he had this group always. He had people he could talk to all the time. And I just never had that. So I kind of weaseled my way into the group, and it has been the best thing for me.
I love that. You've been my favorite member of the pod. And so I just wanted to ask too, like what shifted mindset wise, kind of during your time in the pod too, and kind of where you were at before versus where are you at right now mindset wise?
Yeah, coming into entrepreneurship just in general, I'm a pretty emotional person. Like I take things personally, and it was tough to put myself in that leadership position with not much education on how to be a business owner. So it came with a lot of struggle when it comes to mindset. On my end, I've had to do so much work just to be in the mindset of a leader and a business owner. I'm realizing things I never knew I needed to have in my back pocket when it comes to mindset and being able to navigate certain situations and the benefit of having a positive mindset and the different outcomes you get from that. So coming into the pod, I continuously was anxious or worried and was always the person in our partnership with my husband where I was the negative one. I was the one who was trying to pull us back. It maybe necessarily wasn't that, but it always seemed that way. And I hated being that person because it's not me in real life. I'm not typically a negative Nancy or anything like that. So coming to the pod and getting to understand the shift of how to use positive mindset in business has changed so much for me. Just the general piece in my day to day now, as opposed to approaching things or a problem happening where I react in a negative way or in a panic. I'm much more easily able to process and kind of step back from the situation and kind of revert to the mindset that whatever comes our way, we're going to figure it out. And that has had to come through a lot of practice, but also a lot of guidance in the pod group as well.
That's amazing. I've seen just a night and day difference between when you're first starting. So I'm curious if there was any specific times or elements within like what are the parts of the pod that allowed for that growth and kind of mastering or developing your mindset more and more. I know that there were times where you were willing to get vulnerable because of the small setting too.
Vulnerability is exactly where I was going to answer with that. Being vulnerable allowed me to get the help that I needed. If I hadn't opened up in the pod, no one would know me or how I reacted to situations before. They would not understand my point of view, and then not know how to best provide guidance. So the fact that I was able to be vulnerable, and that was just from being comfortable with the people in the group, them being vulnerable with me allowed me to open up in the same way. So I felt that that was that safe space for me to be able to give that. And then in return, I was given nothing but appreciation as well as guidance on how to take what I was feeling or the way I was reacting and turn it into a way that would really bring me more peace in my life as a whole.
I love it. I love it so much. So now let's turn to the retreat, which I know was also, I think you said it was really a great experience because of the in-person nature of it to complement even the virtual pod calls. And so I just want to hear kind of what was your biggest breakthrough or takeaway from the Accelerate retreat experience?
There were a few speakers at the retreat that I kind of clung on to. One of them being focused on mindset. So I really thrive in being able to learn more about that just because I know it is one of my weaknesses and something that I can continually grow in. So during that speech or during that talk, I really learned so much, not only about myself and my thought process, just being self-reflective, but also connecting with my past self and looking ahead to my future self as well. Where do I want to see myself in the future? And what does that Beth act like? What does that Beth look like? Where is that Beth living? And being able to connect those and take a look at my past self and say, hey, it's okay that that's where you were before. But look at where we are now. Look at how far we've come. And that experience was so powerful for me to be able to connect the two and see that my goals, my desires, my dreams are so real, so attainable, and so possible. That was a huge breakaway or huge takeaway for me from the retreat.
Oh, I love that. I'm sure that was also like a weight off of your shoulders. Now there's a lot of faith in that, like that is coming to you and it's guaranteed, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I was one who used to look at that type of thing as gimmicky or just something that, I didn't need. I thought I was a positive person. I thought I could handle anything. And then we get into the realm of business ownership and everything that it throws at you to be able to navigate, whether it be financials or just temperaments of other people and that kind of thing. This is not something I knew or thought I needed before the pod. It's something I realized over time that, hey, I could be in a much better position. My days could be going so much smoother. And that's really something that the pod and the retreat helped me to kind of get to.
I love it. Okay, so last question is what are specific results? So we've talked about the shifts. What are some specific results that have come from your business that you've experienced as a result of being in the pod and coming to the retreat?
So, specifically from the pod and the retreat, I have been talking about an idea I've had for so long, probably a year now. And my husband has been asking and pushing me to do this because it was something I wanted to do. I always had the excuse that I didn't have the time. Through the pod accountability and the retreat, I was kind of brought to terms with the excuses I had been making, to really notice, hey, I do have the time. I'm just reverting to other things to fill the gap. Whether it be because I'm nervous or scared, or I don't feel qualified or valuable enough to put this out there. I was really brought to face those fears. And at the retreat was actually let know that, hey, what deadline are you going to set to get this done? You keep talking about it, you want to do it, just get it done. And so we set a deadline at the retreat, put a little wager on it to keep myself accountable. And since then, the group has checked in with me every single week to make sure that I'm holding up my end of the bargain. Since then, I have completed that task and created an entirely new income stream for our business that is going to change everything for us. And it really wouldn't have been without that accountability that I would have been in this space. So that is a huge turning point for us in our business, and it wouldn't have been without the pod that happened.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Beth. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.